I watched, I waited, I rolled my eyes. Then the reviews came in. I then went onto Amazon, Waterstones, and looked on Goodreads. I wanted to see what all the fuss was about, only to see that it was sold out. I panicked. I checked back every few days to see if it was available. Then a couple of days later, I got my copy. Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Naima. This video is about Sally Rooney's much anticipated beautiful world, Where Are You? Specifically, I want to unpack what it is about Sally Rooney's writing that is so special. What is it that she's done that has so captured the imagination of a generation of readers? And to me, there are three things that Sally Rooney does particularly well in her writing, and I'll be unpacking those and why they resonate so much with us. So keep watching and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more book content from me, because all I do is read. Here it is. A beautiful cover, I think. I love the blue on yellow. And I think it's quite a good length as well. Some of her other books were a bit shorter. I've for a long time been saying that even though I enjoy Sally Rooney's writing, I find her books slightly overrated. It's not that I haven't really enjoyed her books a lot, but they're not the best thing I've ever read, and so I was definitely reading this with a more critical eye. Rooney became popular after Normal People. She'd written a couple of books before then. There was nowhere you could go without seeing someone carry her book. Covers of Normal People, you could see people reading it on the tube while walking through corridors. It was everywhere. I think it was about 2 years ago, and everyone was reading it at the same time. I was reading it on the tube as well, and I'd see other people reading it on the tube. It just, for some reason, it was a sensation. And there were so many thought leadership pieces being written about it. She's been described as the voice of the millennial generation. So this time I was trying to work out what all the fuss was about, and as I said, I really like her books. I really do. But would I be queuing at 7 a.m. to get a book? No. And I read this one in a couple of days over a weekend. And then the thing that Sally Rooney manages to do so beautifully is that a few days later you're still thinking about it. It's been a week since I read it and I'm still thinking about it. I'm thinking about the dialogue that she wrote. I'm thinking about the characters that are so well drawn and sketched out. I'm thinking about the will they, won't they romance side of things that Rooney does so magically. Rooney envelops you in her world and leaves you wanting more. There's quite a bit of distance between you and the other characters, and all that does is it adds a layer of mystery and mystique. So let's get into it. What is the book about? Beautiful World, Where Are You? Is about two friends that are at separate junctures in their lives. One is called Alice. She's a very successful writer. She's recently moved, and she's also recently had what she describes as a psychotic breakdown. The other is called Eileen. She's working at a magazine. She's recently got over a breakup and she's living in Dublin. The two are best friends, they say, but they've not seen or spoken to each other despite having gone through so much in quite a while. Both seem quite lonely and despondent. Both have quite tumultuous relationships with men who they're dating. Alice has just met Felix, and Eileen has a kind of tumultuous relationship with a friend of hers. Really, as is the case with most Sally Rooney books, there's not much that happens in this book. This is all I'm going to give away because I don't want to give away any of the plot. There's not much plot, to be honest. It's much more character-led than story-led. The two friends interact primarily via letters. They send each other letters in between each chapter of the book. The letters vary in length and subject. Some of them are about their day-to-day lives. Some of them are about finding beauty in day-to-day, in art, in literature, and also day-to-day worries, and they kind of tackle existential issues that they're going through and challenges around the meaning of life as well. To me, there are three things that Sally Rooney does really well, and this is what has propelled her to this massive success. The first one is that Rooney shines a light on our worst traits. The most noteworthy thing about Rooney's characters is that no one really likes any of the characters. She manages to show us how selfish, how unself-aware, how unempathetic, and all of these character traits are really well sketched out in a believable way. I didn't feel that close to any of the characters because they're kind of meandering through their own day-to-day lives and not thinking about anyone else but themselves. Is seeing ourselves reflected back in these characters. She shines a mirror on our worst traits. The second thing drew me in is that the dialogue is second to none. And when you're reading dialogue that is so well written, you realise that there's such a scarcity of that. It's so rare that you're reading something and the conversations are convincing and they're ones that we would actually be having all day to day. Sally Rooney doesn't use quotation marks, and it's been her stylistic choice in all of her work. You can definitely tell who is speaking at each time, and I think that shows how well drawn out the characters are, that even though there's nothing saying Alice said or Felix said, you still know who is speaking at any point. Her writing is quite simple and plain, and that sounds like a dig, but it really isn't. It's really hard to write really simply. There's no flowery language, there's no over-description, there's not a word out of place. And it's in the dialogue that you see the characters' insecurities, their fears, their motivations. The third and final thing that I think Sally Rooney does so well, and I'm calling this the will they, won't they kind of dance. In Beautiful World, Where Are You? There's a pull between all of the four characters where you're kind of wondering whether they're going to make it through or not, whether they're going to be truly vulnerable. It's a pull between the characters. You're always wondering what's going to happen next, because it could so easily end with all four of the characters dispersing and going their separate ways. This time it was both a romantic pull between Alice, Felix, and then Eileen and Simon. You're wondering what's going to happen next between them. Is their relationship going to make it or not? And then also between Eileen and Alice as well. So these are two supposedly best friends who haven't seen each other in such a long time. Will they ever get to see each other? Will we get to see them interact? Because for the most of the story, you're only seeing them interact through these letters. So you're constantly wondering whether there'll be a satisfying ending for these characters. You see them holding back their fears to their own detriment as well, and preventing themselves from admitting who they really are or how they really feel. As I was reading it, there were several points where I found myself wanting to get into the story and say to Simon, no, Eileen means this. You get so invested in their interpersonal mishaps that you want to intervene, you want to get them to say what is being left unsaid. My arm is getting tired, I'm gonna have to swap over now. So overall, I would say that Beautiful World, Where Are You is a very mature departure from her previous work. If you're interested in reading Sally Rooney, I'd highly recommend this one. Read them all. I mean, I say I'm not a fan, but then I've read all her books, so who am I to talk? My only critique would be the letters. Some of them weren't quite as strong as the others, and some of them were just a bit too long. And when you're reading, great dialogue, and then suddenly you have like a 10-page letter in between, and it kind of takes a minute to get you back into the story. There were a lot of times where I stopped reading at the letters because I was just like, oh, another one. Okay, here we go. Let me get some tea. I still really appreciated this level of experimentation. So looking forward to reading what Sally Rooney writes next. And thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and have a great day.